أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. Assalamu alaikum everybody. We're going to commence, because we're already late as is, we're going to commence straight away inshallah with Brother Thaqib reciting the Quran. Jazakallah khair.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قل أنبئكم بخير من ذلكم للذين اتقوا عند ربهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها وأزواج مطهرة ورضوان من الله والله بصير بالعباد. الذين يقولون ربنا إننا آمنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وقنا عذاب النار. الصابرين والصادقين والقانتين والموافقين والمستغفرين بالأسحار. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط. لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم. إن الدين عند الله الإسلام وما اختلف الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءهم العلم بغيا بينهم ومن يكفر بآيات الله فإن الله سريع الحساب.
Please bear with us, we have just a few announcements. I know we're late, but just we have a few announcements inshallah to make. Starting with Brother Muhammad Yusuf, who's going to come and explain what's going on for ISOC in the next few weeks inshallah and after.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. As you all know, this month is Islam Awareness Month for Hallam ISOC, and for ISOC especially, next week is going to be Islam Awareness Week. And as we are all happy that we are all Muslim here in this lecture theatre, but if the main purpose of Islam Awareness Month and Islam Awareness Weeks is that we show what Islam is to the non-Muslim community here in Sheffield. So for the rest of the Hallam ISOC talks and for all the talks that are going to come throughout the month, we'd really encourage you to try and bring along as many non-Muslim friends that you have. Even if one person brings one person along with them, inshallah we'll be fulfilling the purpose of Islam Awareness Week. This Thursday, at 5:45 in the lecture theatre just next to this, we have our volunteer meeting where we're going to try and find out who is able to man the stalls, who's able to do the Quran recitation in the union next week. So if you can, please all try and attend that volunteers meeting this Thursday. And then inshallah after we finish that volunteers meeting is the open day which Hallam ISOC are holding in the Muslim Welfare House. Moving on to next week, we've got the Da'wah stall all the way from Monday to Thursday in the union in the foyer. So if you want, you can come and see what we have, the free material that we have, the free Qur'ans that you can go and give to your friends. Next Tuesday we have a talk by Hamza Tsortsis, again in this lecture theatre, entitled The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Liar, Deluded or Truthful. And then on the Wednesday we have our usual Quran recitation in the union. And then lastly on the Friday we have another talk called Women's Rights in Islam in collaboration with PACSA. So if you can, please try and bring everybody along to these events. Lastly, next Saturday, the 23rd, we have an ISOC event in collaboration with different societies, Pakistani Society, Ahlul Bayt Society, Palestine Society, and the Malaysian Society. We all know that Islamic societies always have the reputation that they're only for a specific type of person, a specific type of person that dresses in a specific way. But the purpose of this event is just to show that we're all Muslim, we're all inviting, and anybody is welcome to our event. So if you can, please try and attend this event. It's going to take place in Coffee Revolution on Saturday evening from 4 to 8 p.m. Next thing is Spring Camp, which I'm sure you've all been waiting for. It is going on this year in the last weekend before term finishes, on the weekend of the 15th to the 17th. We're going to be going to the Walesby Forest, just a few miles away from here. Tickets will be going on sale from next week in our first talk of Islam Awareness Week next week on the Tuesday. If you don't got our weekly bulletin where all the information is, then please just leave your email with anybody who has the hoodie on. Inshallah, we'll add you to that and then you'll be able to receive all the information. Jazakumullah khairan.
Hope you listen to that, inshallah. If you have uni students, please contact Muhammad and Yusuf and get involved, inshallah. Next is our Islamic Awareness Month, which started today. It's 4 weeks of intense da'wah for the Hallam ISOC, inshallah. You're all welcome to help us and attend our talks. Today is the first one of our talks, and the Sheikh, I know, looking at his picture, is, alhamdulillah. But the reason we've held it here is because we've had a few issues with our uni, alhamdulillah, and we thank ISOC immensely for allowing us to hold it here. So Jazakumullah khair to all ISOC members for allowing us to hold this event in this university. Jazakumullah khair. That's today. Our second talk is at the end of the month, the last weekend of the end of the Islamic Awareness Month, which is titled One God by Mufti Wasim Khan. Mufti Wasim Khan is a sheikh from Trinidad and Tobago. He's going to be making an effort all the way from there, inshallah, to come and teach us and bring as many non-Muslims as you can, inshallah, because it is for them more than it is for Muslims. But we can all benefit, inshallah. I know we all have non-Muslim friends, inshallah. Bring them all along. We have da'wah stalls from the 11th, which is today, to the 22nd of February. That's every Monday, Wednesday and Friday for 2 weeks. This week and next week. You're all welcome to help us, inshallah. And any books you have, any material you have, you can come bring it for us, inshallah. And we'll spread it to the non-Muslims. There will be a street cleanup on the 21st of February, inshallah. That's a Thursday. So we're all going to clean up the streets of town, inshallah, as part of our da'wah week, our da'wah month. And again, anyone is welcome to help, inshallah. Not just students, even non-students are welcome to help. So please make an effort and contact me or contact any of the Hallam ISOC committee. See me pray. You are wondering what that is. We're going to bring non-Muslims to see us pray in Hallam Uni. So that's for brothers and sisters, and that's on the Thursday, that's the week. Okay, not 21st, it's 27th actually, the street cleanup. Sorry, yeah. It's 21st, 27th, the street cleanup, this the week after. Thursday the 20th of February is See Me Pray. So non-Muslims are going to come and see how the Muslims pray. No pressure, of course, they just sit to one side and just watch us pray. One of us will explain how the prayer, the salah is made, and the rest of us will pray. That's for brothers and sisters. So there's two prayers, alhamdulillah. So just bring them. Non-students are welcome. Just bring them, inshallah. Just contact me if you don't know, if you forget, whatever. But the poster will be put up all over Facebook and the internet, and we're also on YouTube as well. So just keep a lookout on that. As Muhammad mentioned, on Thursday, this Thursday, from 5 o'clock till 8 p.m. is our Masjid Open Day in Masjid Abu Hurairah, Muslim Welfare House. Brothers, look, I'm going to tell you straight up now. If you're a Muslim, please try not to come on your own. Please bring a non-Muslim with you, because it is for them really. It's not really for the Muslims, because we've all seen a masjid, alhamdulillah. Inshallah. It's really for non-Muslims, because over the past few years we've had mostly Muslims that come on their own and just, packing the place, and really the non-Muslims are not benefiting at all from this. So we've cleared out the day, because there's no madrasa on the day, so it's going to be quite good and empty for the non-Muslims to come and just have a tour of the masjid. So for this slide, I'd like to show you guys our trailer for Islamic Awareness Month. Other way.
O Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who is better in their speech than the one who calls towards Allah, and after that they act upon it. They
Hamza, do you want to come here?
I'm supposed to go,
It's all part of the plan. Just
interesting.
Keeps you guys waiting for the trailer.
Maybe we could play that small. That's rubbish though.
O Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who is better in their speech than the one who calls towards Allah, and after that they act upon it. They do amil as-salihat. And I can tell you as a new Muslim that the 99 people who pass in front of this mosque, for every one Muslim that comes here or prays here, out of those 99, very few of them have any idea what do we do inside.
Not only is it something nice, something good, it is in fact a part of obedience to Allah to give this invitation to truth and correct belief and worship in Islam.
That someone, his life was being written down. The way that he lived was being written down for millions and billions of people to look to that example and follow it. Ask yourself the question, right? How great is this?
Without him, we cannot even get a breath of air to breathe. Without him, we cannot get a morsel of food or a sip of water. So he has that authority to tell us what to do. And he commanded all the human beings, believe in me. But some of them said, no, we're not going to believe in you. We don't even believe that you exist.
For the patience. I'm not going to insult ISOC equipment because they let us have the lecture here, so it's fine. Ustad Abdul Radman Murphy, would you like to, inshallah, come make the talk? I'll read out your information bio.
Assalamu alaikum. First and foremost, I want to apologize. We were told kind of late that we had to be here earlier, and unfortunately there was a little miscommunication with FOSIS, but alhamdulillah, we got here. And then on the way there was like massive accidents. So it was, Mufti Abu Layth was driving me from Birmingham. For those of you who don't know Mufti Abu Layth, it's a shame because he's so close to you guys, and he came to America and he drew, him being at a conference from the LED helped us draw a major audience of over 400, 500 people. And so you have a gem like this sitting in your midst, and teaching classes online, and not charging. If you can pay for it, then alhamdulillah. But if you can't, he doesn't force it. So make sure you take advantage of people like him. But he was driving, mashallah, in his amazing Range Rover, and there were some accidents on the way. So mashallah, he bared patiently with that while I slept. On the way. But alhamdulillah, I wanted to thank you all for being patient. It means a lot to me, and I don't undervalue your time. I'm not someone who thinks that, oh, they're going to listen to, no, I'm not like that. I'm just your brother. And so I really appreciate you guys being patient. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulih al-kareem, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi, wa man tabi'akum bi ihsanin ila yawm ad-din, Allahumma ja'alna minhum. Ameen. First and foremost, after my other first and foremost, I know that this lecture was supposed to be like a convert story. It's kind of an awkward moment because I'm not a convert. People think my dad converted. He doesn't get enough credit. Everyone thinks I converted, but my mother's Egyptian. My father's an American convert. And so I remember the flyer before it said why I chose Islam. But it's actually interesting that was kind of the title, because what happened in my life growing up as a young Muslim is very parallel, I think, to what happens to a lot of people who grow up as Muslims in Britain or in America or anywhere where they are given the faith. Umar bin Khattab, he said something very interesting. He said that the people who are going to lose their religion first are not the ones who convert to Islam and then the ones who have second thoughts about it and then leave. They're the ones who are born Muslim. And he was asked, why is this the case? Why are you saying this? And he said because they were born into this religion that's so powerful and so beneficial, and they'll take it for granted because they never experienced the darkness of kufr. Because they never experienced the lack of iman. And so having iman gifted to them at a young age, right, at birth essentially, is going to have them not have an appreciation for it to a point where they'll actually begin to detest it. How many people in this room have ever heard of another young Muslim person in Britain that has either not wanted to be or has left Islam? Not wanted to be Muslim or left Islam? How many of you have heard stories about those Muslims who go clubbing and are dating and drinking? Right? Okay. So it exists. It exists. And so even though, and I think this is a fault of the Muslims, honestly, is that we like to get converts up on stage and we're like, tell us why you chose this religion, because we hate it. Because we can't date, we can't drink, we can't party. So tell us why you gave up all that fun so that we can go home at night and feel good about why we're Muslim. And the funny thing is that we're completely neglecting our own traditional sources, the Quran and the Hadith, and the lives of the Salaf, and the lives of the scholars. And we're asking someone who just accepted Islam to come with it. And it's great. I love hearing convert experiences. I think that it's transformational. But in my mind, if we're going to just have to use an injection every time we feel weak in our faith, then we're never going to get to that level that we need to be at. You guys understand what I'm saying? Yes or no? Is it just cold in this room? Because everyone's kind of cold. Okay. So we're going to talk about something, and we're going to talk about the titling I was given for the talk was Islam, the perfect religion. And the title I see up on the screen is Islam, the correct religion. But either way, it's labeling Islam as the ultimate. And although this is in essence correct, Islam is the perfect religion, and Islam is the correct religion. And although in essence it's true, setting up a perspective like this it shows good faith and good iman and good ubudiyya to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, good servitude and worship to Allah. But the issue with setting up a talk like this is that, with that title, is that it's very confrontational. And it's very, me versus you. We have the correct side. We're monopolizing the correctness of it. And you, who's coming to the talk, and maybe you're not Muslim, or maybe you're not, so quote unquote, a practicing Muslim, you are not correct. And when you read the Quran, again, this is all from the Quran, you find that the narrative of the religious discussion is never a confrontational religious discussion. It's never one of we're right and you're wrong. It's always one of you were right and this is just the final piece. You were there and this is just the completing factor of it. Even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discusses the prophets, in Surah Al-Baqarah, for example, is a great example. When he discusses the prophets, and then even at other times he says, right, the prophets, they all follow this, and he tells the story of each one. And then at the end of it he says, وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. That all of them to Allah lahu muslimun, that they were Muslim, that they submitted. And so the concept of setting up sort of a confrontational, like, we have Islam, we're Muslim, we're following the perfect, correct way, is not very inviting in its get-go. You guys get what I'm saying? And so it's very important to have the correct mindset right from the start, right from the get-go. And mashallah, the amount of work that you guys are doing is really inspiring. You know, some of the other ISOCs that I've visited, they're just getting started. And so you guys have a ton of work, mashallah, already put together. I mean, this room is basically almost full with Muslims, and so the university, I'm sure, has a lot of potential as far as the ISOC is concerned. And so I was really impressed by seeing what you guys are covering with your Islamic Awareness Month. But again, we need to make sure that we have the right perspective, which is not that we hold something that's perfect and correct and you need to find it, but rather we're here to serve you. And this is the essence of faith that we learn in da'wah. You know, when I came to England, it's kind of interesting. Besides noticing that you guys drive on the wrong side of the road, and that all your cars are built improperly, and that you guys have 2 taps for 1 faucet. You guys ever seen that before? So like one side's like burning Jahannam hot, and the other side's like, the Prophet ﷺ says that, Jahannam will get a breath of cold, it'll have a breath of cold. So it's like those 2 temperatures, and then somehow like you're supposed to wash your hands. And so you like a cat, you start to like take the water back and forth. I've actually had to get like a cup from one of the brothers that I'm staying with and fill it up, a little bit of hot and a little bit of cold, and then pour it over my hands and I wash my hands. Anyways, so besides noticing these things, I've noticed that British Muslims, mashallah, are really, really passionate about this thing called da'wah, about this concept of this action called da'wah. And I had a meeting yesterday actually with an organization, and they were asking me for some advice, and they were like, Sheikh, I'm like, not a Sheikh, please don't call me Sheikh. They're like, Mufti, I'm like, nope, wrong again, all right? They were like, brother, I said, very good. They said, can we have some advice on da'wah? You know, we're very interested in getting the message out there and, you know, getting people to know about Islam. I said, well, what's your mission? Is your mission to inform or to convert? And they said, both. And I said, that's your first mistake. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّكَ لَن تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You can't guide who you want to guide. You're not going to be able to go to someone and say, I'm going to convert you. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said, بَلِّغُ عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Tell people about me, even if it's one ayah. But he never said convert people to this way. He never said force them or push them on this way. Or he never said your job is to make as many Muslims as possible. But I say, our job is to inform people. And when we're doing da'wah, if we have the mentality, the problem with focusing on conversion is what happens when we try it and it doesn't work. Then we think, what? Man, there's something wrong with this religion. Because it's not converting people. And they actually told me, the brothers and sisters said they were setting up some sort of debates. Right? And if you notice, America doesn't really have a lot of religious debate kind of like setups. You know, Ahmed Didat, rahimahullah, he used to come and do it sometimes, but we rarely have them now. But you guys in Britain, mashallah, you guys have a lot of people who like to debate in comparative religion, and this is good. But they literally said, we're setting up these debates so that we can convert people to Islam. Because at the end of the debate, we're hoping that 5 or 10 or 20 people get up and say, you won my heart over, I'm going to convert. But again, this is the kind of incorrect perception. Because we don't control. Even the Prophet ﷺ, you know when that ayah was revealed? إِنَّكَ لَن تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You know what the asbab and nuzul was for that? The sabab? What?
His uncle died.
His uncle passed away. His own uncle Abu Talib. And he's standing there. He says, my uncle, please, just say one phrase, one word. Say something. Say Allah. Say La ilaha illallah. Don't even say the last part. Just say something so that on the day of judgment I can take that one proof, that evidence, and say, oh Allah, he was on his way to do it. Or oh Allah, he was going to forgive him. And his uncle still didn't say it because other people were surrounding him saying, are you going to give up on the religion of your forefathers? They'd be disgusted with you. So yes, they were combating him back. But the Prophet ﷺ was trying so hard, and I'm not sure if you guys understand the relationship that he had with his uncle. That everyone else in his life had passed away. He was born with, his father was already passed away. His mother passed away when he was 6 years old. Right? And then he grows up a life where he has to live outside with, you know, obviously even when his mother was alive, he had to go and stay with, you know, foster parents because that's how they raised the young boys back then, especially because his family didn't have that much money. But he had to go and live outside away from his family. Then his mother passed away, then he comes back. And then he's kind of put into the care of his grandfather, right? And then his grandfather actually passes away and he has to stay with Abu Talib. And Abu Talib kind of becomes like this loving figure in his life. And the Prophet ﷺ actually begins to even take care of Ali, Abu Talib's son. And so they began, because Abu Talib can't afford to. And so the Prophet becomes very close, almost like Abu Talib's own son. And it's basically like he's sitting at the deathbed of his own father saying, Dad, convert, please. And then Allah revealed after that, because the Prophet said, I'm going to make dua for his forgiveness every day. And the Prophet Allah revealed to him, don't get frustrated, don't get anxious because he didn't say it. إِنَّكَ لَمْ تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You're not going to be able to do it. So when we talk about da'wah, our goal is to inform. Our goal is to clarify. Our goal is to teach. Our goal is not to force or twist or hit a button or flip a switch. We can't do it. Trust me, you'll be very frustrated if you believe you can do it. Right? That is the #1 goal. Also, the second thing is that if you look at the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, how many of you have ever read a seerah book here? Which book is it? Which book have you read? Yeah, you. Life of the Prophet. Do you know who wrote it? Okay, it's okay. You read the seerah book? Okay, Rahiq al-Maktoum, Sealed Nectar, Sheikh Mubarak from Allah. Anyone else? Any other seerah books? Yes? Martin Ling's, okay, that's a very famous one. That's a very famous one. I think a lot of people enjoy that one, mashallah. A little bit of British pride. Anyone else? Yeah?
Went to the Al-Maghrib Seerah course, if that counts.
Okay, yeah, of course it does. Of course. Who taught that?
Sheikh Muhammad Al-Shuri.
Okay, mashallah. That was which one? What was it called? Shepherd's Path.
Yes.
Okay, cool, mashallah. Anyone else? Anyone else read a seerah book? Yes? Okay, so you read one of the classical texts. Mashallah. Very good. Anyone else? Rahiq al-Maktoum as well? Okay, has anyone ever heard of In the Footsteps of the Prophet by Tariq Ramadan? Okay, has anyone heard of Muhammad Man and Prophet by Abdul Salahi? These are 2 texts I'm going to recommend to you. Especially Muhammad Man and Prophet. It is probably the most comprehensive, and Sheikh, have you read it? No, okay, you're probably one of the Arabic side of things. But Muhammad, Man and Prophet by Adil Salahi is probably the best English seerah book that I've ever read. And so I highly recommend it. And I'll tell you why. It really details in a narrative form the life of the Prophet ﷺ. In a narrative form. So you read it and there's actually dialogue. It's not just historical facts, although they are there. And it's very authenticated. He makes sure he's very strenuous in what he includes. But at the same time, there is a dialogue and there is a narrative and there are lessons being extrapolated. One of the lessons that you learn as you finish the book is that he actually makes you look back at the rest of the text. He actually says, look back and think and see and kind of check. He says, how much did the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, how much, and everyone should say ﷺ at least once, how much did he, ﷺ, kind of engage in a verbal debate? How much did he try to work with people verbally or challenge people to a discussion or a conversation about Islam, why they should follow it? And if you look at the seerah collections, you'll find that very small percentages included the Prophet ﷺ challenging people. Now yes, he did speak to poets, he did speak to leaders of Quraysh, he did do these things because he had to. But if you look at the entire sum of his da'wah, of his calling to the message of Islam, you find that it was overwhelmingly dominated by him working with people and him serving people. There's a very famous story in the early part of the da'wah where the Prophet ﷺ, he was walking in the Meccan streets, and you guys know the Meccan phase. Was the message really accepted well or not? You're scaring me. Was it accepted well or not?
No.
No, it wasn't. Not at all, right? So what were some things that used to happen to the Prophet ﷺ when he was praying? Or when he would come outside of his house? What were some things that he used to find? Meccan phase. Garbage. He used to find just garbage, sometimes even like thorns and stuff. What else? What used to happen to him? What kind of torture would happen to him? What kind of ridicule or harassment would they try to the Prophet ﷺ?
Intestines would be put on him when he was...
So on his back when he was in sajda, they would put the intestines of a dead animal on his back. You guys imagine what that would feel like. I don't know if any spas do that treatment. I don't know if that's like a... I think it's pretty disgusting. I don't know if anyone tries that. Anyone else? So there's a physical side. So yeah, they would do all kinds of things where they would try to like, strangle him. They would pick on him. Kind of like, imagine like a young student walking through the hallways at school, and all the older like bullies are pushing him around, kind of like tripping and things like that. They would do that when he would walk through the marketplace. Also, what they would also do is they would verbally harass him. They would call him things like retarded. They would call him things like idiot, stupid. They would say these things to him like, you're crazy, you're mentally insane. And after a while, these things begin to wear down. I mean, in America, I'm not sure in Britain how common this is. In America, bullying has actually led to suicide. And so to think about it from another perspective, which is not only was he being physically harassed, but the Prophet ﷺ was being verbally and emotionally harassed. But he still had the strength to maintain his composure, right? In scenarios that have led others to hurt themselves. And so he was doing this, and this is how the Meccan was. This is how the Meccan phase was for the majority of the time. And that's actually, it got so bad that they actually were given permission to leave. Now one day he was walking, and he saw an old woman packing up her house. Have you guys heard this story before? Very interesting story. So he sees an old woman packing up her house. Imagine you were walking on your street, wherever you live with your parents or on campus, and you see an old lady packing things up, really old, like back is bent, like frail, really old. And you just see her packing up her things by yourself. So you're walking by and you just kind of see her. What would you do? What would be your reaction? Huh? Help her, right? And there's kind of like this example given in pop culture of like, when you see an old woman crossing the street, what do? You help her cross the street. Brother's like, no, you're not mahram, I'm sorry. Good luck to you. Lama. Or you see like an old lady carrying her groceries, right? You're like, you bought pork and wine, astaghfirullah, may Allah forgive you, right? No, like there's this kind of like this construct of like, when you see elderly people doing something, it's part of like this, it's part of actually the fitrah, I believe, to help them with it, because you kind of believe that in your nature you're supposed to serve people who are less able to do things. So he sees an older woman, packing up her things, right? It's like carrying her piano. No, just right? Okay, no one laughed. They didn't have pianos back then. Okay. And he asks her. He says, "Ya ummi, my mother." Now, is his mother alive?
No.
No. Why is he calling her Ya ummi?
Respect.
Out of love and respect. This is the kind of person that he was. That he would just respect people even if he really didn't know them. And we're going to find out very soon that he didn't really know her, right? He says, Ya ummi, he goes, this is kind of a strange occurrence. Like, why are you packing up all of your things, my mother? is everything okay? And she says, my son, ya ibni, which shows what? Is it actually her son? No, we learn a lesson here really quickly, is that if you want love and respect, elders and young people, if you want love and respect, you have to give it first. You never get it. It's something that's earned, it's not given. And so with elders, young people, we have to give that love and respect. And elders, when you get it, you have to give it back. And this is even in the time, even non-Muslims in the time, even people who were, idolaters in the time of the Prophet ﷺ would do this. So she says, yeah, Ibni, this man came and he's preaching this new message, this new thing about leaving all of our gods and worshiping one and that he's some sort of prophet. And she says, I've been in Mecca my entire life. This is where I grew up. This is where I stayed. And she said, I cannot stand to see what I'm seeing now because of this man. You know what's going on? He said, what's going on? She said, this man Muhammad is his name. This man is separating families. Father and son are fighting, mother and daughter are fighting, brothers are fighting, spouses are fighting, because some people believe in the family and some people don't. There are some people who are accepting the message and others aren't. And it's causing people to break apart. And she says, honestly, it kills me to see my own community fall apart like that. And we can probably relate to her emotional struggle. That if we saw people in our own community, whether it's our masjid or our neighborhood, if we saw families start to fight, no one likes to see that. And so she's actually very passionate about her community, about her ummah. She's feeling it. And she goes, I hate this man Muhammad. Does she know who she's talking to? This is a very awkward conversation, right? Now, he could have done a couple things, okay? Let's say that the Muslims now, in 21st century Britain and America, are in a situation where we're very similar to that. We're encountering people who don't know about the faith, because she doesn't know. She doesn't know what the details of the message are. She just kind of heard these stories. Number two, that this is the first time she's meeting a Muslim, technically, because of the Prophet ﷺ, that she's meeting him, she doesn't know who he is. Right? So a lot of Muslims now, we can relate to the situation the Prophet ﷺ was in at that time. What are our responses? What are our responses? Well, our responses could be a couple things. The Prophet ﷺ could have been like, well, actually, we have an Islamic Awareness Week coming up in Mecca, in the city center. If you want to come, you can. Here's a pamphlet on why women are not oppressed. Right? Get back inside, woman! Right? That's right? He could have done that. Or, he could have said, may God curse you and destroy your progeny, and give you the lowest pit of hellfire. Or, he could have done what he did. And what he did was he said, Ya Ummi, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I wish that I could convince you to stay because you said to me how much you love Mecca. But please, if that's the case, if you've already made up your mind, she goes, I've made up my mind. He says, if you've already made up your mind, then please, can I at least help you? Because it's not right for you to do this on your own. And she said, yeah, Ibni, that'd be so kind. So he begins to pack up her things for her. He begins to serve the person that hates him. And so he begins to serve her and he begins to pack up her things. And meanwhile, she's talking a lot of trash, right? You guys ever had a conversation with your grandparents or like an elder person? Sometimes you're trying to give those social clues like, I'm done listening. And they're like, I'm not done talking, right? So they keep going a little bit. And you know why? Because mashallah, like, they have a lot of things to say because they're so wise. Honestly, they've seen so many things that when you speak to an elder, listen, because you'll hear things you never ever, you couldn't pay for that stuff. It's so valuable. So then they begin to walk, and he says, which way do you want to go? She says, this way. I want to go to the outskirts, Al-Qadiyah, like outskirts of the town, right? Like a town that's out near the edge. I don't want to live near Mecca anymore. He's like, okay, let's start walking. Have you guys ever walked with an elder person? They got to go a little bit slow because they're carrying so many good deeds, right? So they got a lot of life experiences with them, so they kind of have to carry all that, and they walk kind of slow. So the Prophet ﷺ is walking with her, and the whole time she's talking trash. You guys know what talking trash means in Britain? Right? Talking rubbish, sorry. The whole time she's talking about, this man, he's stupid, he's this. Oh, gee, I know, I heard this about him. Well, it hurts me to even tell the story, but I want to get the point across of how bad of a situation, how awkward this was. And the whole time, he could have been like, man, lightning bolt. He could have just taken care of it. He's like, no one can hear you scream from out here, right? Like, he could have done that. Like, he's the prophet of God. Like, honestly, let's be real. Any dua he makes is accepted. But he's walking quietly, and he's just like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Oh, that's interesting. He's like that. So they're walking, and finally she goes, here, this is where I want to live. He goes, here? She said, yeah, here. And he sets the stuff down. She goes, thank you so much for taking my stuff. He goes, oh, I'm not done yet. He goes, mother, please. He goes, I'm going to set up your things for you. Please, well, don't be silly. You're not going to set all this by yourself. Let me do it for you. She goes, oh my God, yeah, Ibni, you're too kind to me. You're too kind. He says, no, it's my pleasure. It's like, no, don't worry about it. He begins to set up her things. He builds everything. Meanwhile, she's still talking trash. He sets up her bed area, her kitchen area, her living room. She's Arab, so she has a second living room, right? But you can't sit in this living room, right? Unless guests come over. Then, he sets up her iMac and everything. But he sets up her house. He sets up her tent, right? It's modest. You know, they didn't live as extravagantly as we do now. But he sets it up for her, right? And then he says to her, Ya Ummi, is there anything else that you need me to do for you? And she goes, yeah, Ibni, you've been so kind. Like, I don't know how I could even, I'm too embarrassed to ask you for another favor. And he says, are you done moving? She goes, yes, I'm done moving. He says, can I have your permission to leave? Can I have your permission to leave, Ya Ummi? And she says, yeah, Ibni, my son, why are you asking my permission? Like, you did all this on your own accord. I didn't pay you. I'm not, please, if you need to go, then please, thank you so much for all you've done. Hopefully I'll see you soon, see you around. So he turns and begins to walk away, and she calls out, she goes, hold on 1 second. She goes, this whole time you helped me pack my things. Then you walked with me. Then you set up my stuff. And now you're leaving. This whole time, I'm so sorry. I never got your name. And he said, I'm the Muhammad that you hate so much. And she said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. He never even had to convert or convince her about anything. He never had to, look, what information did she have that was different from the information that she had before? What did he tell her? What verbal argument did he present to her about Islam that was different when they arrived than when he first met her? Did he say anything? Did he say no? But that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, Sayyid al-Qawm khadimuhum, that the master of a people, the ones who are leaders, who are respected, who are adored and loved, are the ones who serve others, the ones who serve those people. The Prophet ﷺ showed us in action that da'wah is more of a show and tell. See, now Muslims are doing a lot of telling, we're not doing a lot of showing. We're like, oh, Islam's great, it's awesome. It's like, really? It's like, yeah, come on in. You don't believe me? And everyone's like, no, I don't really, see. It's like, oh, Muslims are very, very clean. And then you drive in the Muslim parts of town and it's like filthy. In Islam, we liberate our women. Right? Then why is your wife, applying for domestic abuse protection? No, seriously. We liberate, we go to churches, we do interfaith. Our women are, our women were oppressed before Islam came. And the wife is sitting in the back laughing because she knows she's oppressed at home. I'm being serious. I'm being dead serious. In Islam, we're so merciful to children. And the kid's scared every time his dad raises his hand to sneeze or something, he's going to get a slap across the face. The dad's like, oh. And the kid's like, no. We're not showing what we're learning. We're not showing what we're telling. And the problem with that, wallahi, the problem with that is this, is that when people do see what Muslims do, then Islam as a whole takes a hit. Because we become the representatives of this message. And if we're not even putting our best effort to live it in the correct way, then Islam loses its credibility. So as Muslims, when we talk about this idea about the perfect religion and the perfect and the correct religion, the main important part of this is to show why it is. Not to tell people why it is, but to show them. My mother, may Allah bless all of our mothers. Ameen. My mother is a very interesting person. Anyone Egyptian here? MashaAllah. So you know about the Egyptian mother. Egyptian mothers. Egyptian mothers had the power to become Egyptian fathers. Right? When the time necessitates it. They are serious. My dad's like this, my dad's this American convert, and he's like super, super chill. Like, I told my dad, I was like, I could be like, I want to be a bum for the rest of my life, a hobo. And he's like, as long as you're the best, whatever. And it's really, really like, mashallah, chilled out. My mom, on the other hand, she's not really professionally driven as much. Like, I didn't have to be a doctor or anything like many of you probably have to be. But I had to become, like, if I didn't pray Fajr in the masjid, forget praying Fajr, I could have prayed, like 30 nawafil before Fajr and then prayed Fajr at home, on time, with sunnah and everything set, made my adhkar till like Ishraq. It doesn't matter. If I didn't pray at the masjid, if I didn't catch the first takbir, she wouldn't talk to me for the whole day. And she would call my work and tell them that I got sick. And when I said, why did you do that? I'm broke. She said, because you don't deserve money today. She was intense. You could imagine I was really excited about it. Right? No, mashallah. Parents are kind of interesting. Like, you look back on your life with your parents and you're like, I can't wait to leave, I can't wait to leave. And then as soon as you leave, you're like, I wish I didn't have to leave. Right? So, and it's not because of anything sentimental, but you realize the value that they gave you. But anyways, moving on. My mom works at a hospital as a nutritionist. And this hospital has an annual dinner called the Legends Dinner. The Legends, right? And every year they pick one person who gets the highest scores, the highest ranking in the entire hospital, and they have a dinner for that person where all the staff has to attend. and they present this award, and that person actually gets a picture taken, and there's like a main hallway, and it's put up on this beautiful plaque, the picture of a person. And if you look, not saying anything, I'm not being racist or like I'm not being like, you know, I'm not profiling, but if you look on the wall, every single one are Jewish doctors, because they work really hard at their job when they're at that hospital, right? And if you look, there's like the same guy won it like 5 years in a row. And he was walking in with like all of his medals around his head. I got this, right? So what he didn't know is that my mom, right, the Egyptian beast, right, mashallah, in a good way, got a job that same year. So she's working, and my mom, the thing that I really, really admire about her is that whenever anyone asks her about why she's such a high quality employee, right away she always says Islam. Right away, like I wish I had the same quality as her, mashallah. So she's doing her job the entire year, and people compliment her. She's getting all these reviews, and we're enjoying it because when she gets good reviews, we get free movie gift cards. And my mom doesn't think movies are halal, so we're like, okay, all right, see you later, mom, right? So we get free like food gift cards, movie gift cards. So we like throughout the whole year, we're just getting tons of these gift cards, and my family's like, yeah, this is amazing. And we're like, Mom, thank you so much, you're doing awesome. She's like, yeah, alhamdulillah, whatever. And she keeps getting these awards, little incentives, little bonus cards, all these things. And we didn't realize that all these things were indications that she was like climbing the ladder, right, of the professional kind of like standards. So finally, we get this letter saying that, you know, the votes for the legends or whatever are coming in, and here are the candidates. And she's the number one, the only woman on it, and number two, she's the only Muslim on it. And she is not even a doctor. The rest are like cardiac surgeon, saved 300 people, like trauma surgeon, like all these different like amazing procedures, and then it goes, Dr. Murphy, nutritionist. And again, the basis is off of customer reviews. So imagine that you just saved someone's life. I mean, like they had a heart attack and you did whatever you got to do, surgery, whatever, bypass, and imagine the customer review they're going to give you. Like, you saved my life, but I'll do whatever it takes to get you this customer review, like a top score. My mom is getting scores, mashallah, that were rivaling those scores just by serving people food. Like just by taking their order, telling them, no, you can't eat that, it has too much salt, that's how you got here in the first place, and then like all these other things. And then she goes, okay, I'll send up the food or whatever. Mashallah, the night comes and she actually wins the award. And you look on the wall now of the hospital, she's actually won it now twice. You look on the wall of the hospital and you see like Jewish doctor, like random Hindu doctor, Christian doctor, Jewish, and then you see two pictures of this hijabi lady like straight up like a don, like she's just like, because she knows. And you know what's interesting is that on her like acceptance and like when people ask her, she always brings up, this is the way my religion taught me to work. And the whole office now that she works with, they all say inshallah, they all say mashallah, they all say alhamdulillah. I don't think they know what they mean. So they're like, yeah, I'm really hungry, inshallah. But the point is, with her atmosphere, with her kind of character, mashallah, my mother, and I'm not claiming anything good from her because I'm just a drop of the goodness that she is, honestly. She has changed the entire atmosphere of the office from being a typical, maybe questionable about Muslims, not sure, to we're really comfortable with Muslims because Mrs. Murphy is like a super, super nice person, and she always says that because of her faith, right? She never ever once brought a Quran, never handed out a pamphlet. So it's very important to do a lot of show and tell, not just a lot of tell. So when we talk about the problem now with showing people that Islam is the correct religion, because we do believe that Islam is the correct religion. We believe that it is the final piece to the lineage of religion that has been sent down by Allah. And that we know that certain pieces of that, we know certain pieces, for example, Christianity, Judaism, Christianity, etc. And then Islam is the final piece. We understand that. The problem now is that, number one, we have an agenda. When we serve people, we have an agenda. And this people can smell from a mile away. Have you guys ever gotten invited to a lunch or a coffee meeting or something, and the person hadn't really talked to you in a while, and you knew that you were going to get, or do you have that one person or that one friend who whenever they call you, you know it's only for a favor? This is called an agenda. Like someone is approaching you because they're in need of something. Now whether or not you do it is fine, that's your choice. The point I'm trying to make is that you can smell that, you can sense that from a mile away. You're like, oh, he's calling me, wonder what he needs now. Hey, assalamu alaikum, how much do you need? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll send it over, right? You know that they don't call you for any other reason. And the problem with this is that it makes your message seem really disingenuous. It makes it seem cheap, like you're cheapening it. Like, oh, I'm only going to take you out to coffee if you want to listen to what I have to say about Islam. Or, forget even talking to non-Muslims necessarily, this is for everyone. If you have a friend who maybe has a bad habit, or maybe needs some nasiha or something, or if you need some nasiha or whatnot, if we're trying to approach people in general for anything, make sure that we drop the agenda of trying to deliver something, and we only serve the agenda of serving that person and loving that person. Because as soon as you have an agenda, you're going to scare the person away. They're going to be like, I'm not going to listen to what you're saying. I can't believe you tried to like trick me into this. The free lunch was nice, thank you, but goodbye. Our agenda as Muslims is what? To love, to serve, and to be there for people when they need it. You know when Khadija radiallahu anha, when the Prophet received revelation, he went down to her in their house, and he was shaking, right? The famous story that he was shivering, he was shaking. And he told her, cover me up, wrap me up in a cloak, because he didn't know what had just happened. And then he asked a very important question. He told her what happened, he recounted the story, and then he asked the question, he said, am I being punished? Did I do something wrong? And she said to him, what back? She didn't say, no, you're not. And then stop there. No, don't worry about it, we'll figure this all out. No, what did she use as her proof for why he wasn't being punished? She said that when anyone ever needs help, you're the one that's there to help them. When anyone ever needs anything, they know that they can call on you, and you'll be there to serve them. This is the message, this is the ethos of the Islamic dawah, is service. And so that's number one, is get rid of the agenda. Number two is we want results fast. We want results quickly. And the way that this comes about, when we talk about Islamic transformation and like teaching the public about Islam, is that we lose hope after like a month. We're like, man, we've been teaching people about Islam forever, and they're not converting, they're not even being nicer to us, they're still calling us, whatever, they're still being Islamophobic or whatnot. What's going on? You know, the Prophet ﷺ, like, how long did he have to go through, how many years did he have to go through before the message was like completely okay? So it was 23 years of the message, right? But like, how many years before like the Meccans were like relatively okay, before Fatih Mecca, we'll say? It was like 20-ish years, right around that time. And even then, they weren't even completely okay with it. It just so happened that the Muslims were, like coming back with no violence. They came and they had the conquest of Mecca. So it's very important to realize something, that when you push a boulder for a certain direction for a certain amount of years, if I'm pushing a boulder for 18 years, and I get to this point, this is 18 years later, and now I say, okay, I want to push it back. How much time is it going to take me to get it back? At least 18 years. Because I might be tired now, and I might have lost my shoe on the way, and I might have hurt my elbow. See, Islam has had a message that's been propagated for a certain amount of time. And we're trying to get it back to its original state of being a message that's honest, that's showing truth and clarity and love and faith and brotherhood and sisterhood. And we're trying to get there, but you know what? We've been hit along the way. And so it's been pushed for a certain amount of time. We've been hit for a certain amount of time. Now we're trying to get it back there. We stop after 3 days and we're like, what's going on? I thought this was the truth. And Khabbab ibn al-Arat, he goes to the Prophet and he said the same thing. He goes, Ya Rasulullah, when's the rest? When's the help of Allah going to come? And the Prophet said, what? You're being hasty. You're being hasty. Slow down. Right? So when we get involved in dawah, we have to realize, number one, lose the agenda. Number two, it's going to take time. It's not an Islamic awareness week. It's an Islamic awareness life. Our lives are supposed to be ones that reflect and show awareness of Islam to everyone that we meet. And this is a good start. Islamic Awareness Week and month is a great start. But let's transform that into an Islamic Awareness year. And then eventually Islamic Awareness decade. And then inshallah a lifetime. That's the goal. Every Muslim's life is Islamic Awareness life. Right? Some tips on how to do this. Number one, we said that we do da'wah primarily by serving people. Primarily. If I had to give it a percentage, does that mean that we don't tell people about Islam? No. People are like, can I ask you? Like, no, the brother said we don't do any talking, sorry. Good luck, right? Go to the masjids that way, right? No. We allow the service to become the key that opens the door. So we do 75% action, and then when questions are posed to us, or inquiries are sent to us, then we respond, right? The first time you speak to someone should never be to give them advice. Like, assalamu alaikum, brother, how are you? Good to meet you, mashallah, your pants are below your ankles. Astaghfirullah alaikum. Right? Like, how do you feel when I said that? Not very nice, right? Because like, at first I'm calling to you like, hey, salam, I got a smile on my face, and then I'm going to call you out immediately on something you're doing wrong. And then walk away and be like, please follow sunnah, salam alaikum. Right? Right? Like, no, like, how are you? What's your name? How's your family like? Are you hungry? Like, I'm kind of hungry. I want to go get something to eat. None of that. Just like immediately, like, oh, I have to identify what you're doing wrong. And with people who aren't even Muslim yet, this is even worse. Because we're like, hey, do you want to learn about Islam? And we're coming to them with like a hot cup of tea. They're like, no thanks. You're like, no tea for you, right? Right? First, it should be the tea. What's your name? What are you studying? What class are you in? Oh, cool. Good to meet you. Well, by the way, you know, we're having this thing. If you're interested, then swing on by, right? We have some more tea. We have some biscuits. You like my vernacular? We have some cookies over there. Okay, take it easy. Oh, you want to come? Oh, okay, cool, right? Or do you want to join the street cleaning thing that we're doing? We're cleaning up the streets of Sheffield. We're trying to make it cleaner for us so we can all live here and not see plastic bags everywhere. Okay, you want to join us for that? Okay, cool. And then after the street cleaning thing, they're like, you know, I saw you, but now there's like a bunch of these like bearded dudes and like there's a bunch of these. Well, are you guys Muslim or something? Yeah, we're Muslim. Oh, interesting. Yeah, and our faith teaches us that we have to be clean, and so we really want to clean up Sheffield. Oh, I never knew that. That's how the conversation starts. But it's not like, hey, you, oi, kafir, right? Come here, right? Do you want to go live in hell for eternity? I didn't think so. Join the, like, that's how, no human being on earth will enjoy that. No human being on earth will enjoy that, right? Even someone who knows it's the truth. I mean, this is actually, believe it or not, we're laughing, alhamdulillah, we're having a good time. This is how Muslims get pushed away from Islam. And people who potentially can learn about Islam, this is how they get pushed away. I said something once and I got yelled at for it, but I'm going to say it again because I don't live in this country. The people who push away others from religion are always the religious people. And the problem with that is that that shows that they're really not truly religious. Because the iman has to penetrate the heart first. And as Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi said, he said that the actions that we do are just the fruit. And the heart are the roots of that tree. So whatever's in our heart will be manifest by the fruit. If you see a tree that's not producing many fruit, or the fruit aren't edible, they're like kind of rotten, then you know that that tree is sick. There's something wrong with it. But if you see fruit are beautiful, it's delicious, it's coming out plentifully, then you know that the roots are strong. And so when we talk about our own faith, our actions, the way that we treat people, look in the mirror, take a piece of paper and write things down. Ask others for nasiha on how you treat them, and you'll have a very quick indication, a very quick look into the state of your and my heart. The second point, this is very interesting. You guys know Hafiz Wissam Sharif?
Yep.
He recites really loudly. Yeah, mashallah. There's an interesting hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he says, Tahaddu, tahabu. It's a command. He says, and it's a command, he's speaking to everyone. And in usul al-hadith, mostly correct me if I'm wrong, when a hadith is not limited, it's not restricted, then we don't restrict it. So for instance, when the Prophet ﷺ is saying, give gifts, you'll love one another, this doesn't mean, oh, you only give gifts to people that you're friends with, or people that are Muslim. No, this is a general command. Give gifts to people, and what is the result of that he's saying? Tahabbu, you'll love each other. It'll create love between you. Hafiz Wissam taught me a very interesting tip, and I put it up on my Twitter a few days ago. A lot of people actually really liked it, which is that one time we were in New York, and we were at a Dunkin' Donuts. You guys have Dunkin' Donuts here? No? It's kind of like a Costa. It's like a coffee and pastry shop. And we were there, and he goes, we're just sitting and talking, right? And his order came up to like $4 or something like that. And which I'm not going to tell you how many pounds that is because I'm kind of hurt that dollar is worth less than the pound. So it comes to like $4, and he goes and whispers to the cashier. He says something I couldn't really hear, and I was like, what? And all of a sudden I see it double, and I was like, man, you didn't have to buy me something. He's like, I didn't. What did he do? He bought the order of the lady that was ordering behind him. So he whispered her something, then he moved to the side. The lady ordered, and it got to like $8 or $9. And I was like, well, Sam, you didn't have to buy me anything, man. I'm not even hungry. And he was like, oh, I didn't, don't worry. Right? And I was like, well, I don't love you now, because he says if you buy me something, no, I'm just joking. But you know that lady, she was like, the cashier was like, oh, it's already been paid for. She's like, who did that? She looks over, she sees two bearded guys, we're like, right? And we're like, peace be upon you. Not like that. But Wissam just kind of waved at her, he's like, hey, how you doing? He's like, I'm just trying to pass on the good morning. And she's like, that's so kind. And he goes, yeah, in our religion, we're taught to like buy things for others and treat them well. So we're Muslims, so I just wanted to go ahead and get my morning started right. And she was like, oh, thank you. And she just walked away. She wasn't like, I should do that. I didn't know all that Arabic right. It wasn't like that. But imagine, you guys all get the point? Look at the positive, now her whole morning, people hate mornings. People hate going to work in the morning, right? But her whole morning was possibly shifted now because someone bought her coffee. And so if we're going to talk about our dawah techniques, number one is approach with love, approach with action, don't approach with verbal. And one of those good actions, number two, is to buy someone coffee or buy someone lunch if they're behind you. Right? Brothers, you don't have to buy it for that attractive lady. You can buy it for the burly guy. Right? Right? Sisters, if you see Channing Tatum lookalike at a restaurant, you don't have to buy it for him. You can buy it for someone else. What I'm trying to say is that do it for someone and remove the agenda, even the personal agenda of trying to impress someone. Do it for the sake of Allah. And make sure that if they ask, you don't have to tell them. Make sure that if they ask, you let them know that it's because your faith teaches you to be kind to other people. I mean, that's like a super powerful way to get the message across. Have you guys ever given money to a homeless person or a needy person who needed it? Ever? Yeah, you guys have those in Britain? Okay. In America, we have a lot of people who need money, so we'll give out things. And I literally, when I give someone, whatever money I give them, I literally tell them, I shake their hand, right? And I say, I'm giving you this money because in my religion we're taught to help those who need it. And you know what's funny is that I actually had people say things like, and we all know it, let's be honest, that we undervalue the da'wah to the people who are undervalued by society. But if we look, what's this masjid called in this city? What's the masjid called? What's the name of the masjid? Oh, Abu Hurairah. Because he was a super wealthy person at the time of the Prophet, right? He didn't even have a house. He lived in the masjid. And who was the number one narrator of hadith? Oh, it's Abu Hurairah. Okay, yeah, there we go. See, the Prophet didn't go to Abu Hurairah and he was like, you're not rich, you're not going to pay for the masjid lighting bill, okay. Hey, you! No, he didn't do that. He treated everyone with the same perspective of da'wah, regardless of their socioeconomic status. And look, if he didn't convert Abu Hurairah, if Abu Hurairah did not become Muslim, then who would have narrated, who would have lived, who would have studied the life of the Prophet ﷺ and transmitted to us so many ahadith? So when we give da'wah, when we're trying to show people what is the correct religion, don't judge. Be an equal opportunity da'wah giver, right? The last point I want to give is that the real reason why people accept Islam, the real reason why we maintain our Islam, and the real reason why anyone stays Muslim when they want to become Muslim is because religion is relevant to them. You guys live in a country, and also I live in a country, but this is a statistic that's specific to the British, where the census said, correct me if I'm wrong, 39% of people under the age of 34 find themselves to be atheist or agnostic. You guys heard this statistic. This is a country where religion is quickly becoming irrelevant. It may have had something to do with this man named King Henry who changed the church just so he could divorce his wife. Possibly. But the point I'm trying to make is that religion is becoming something which is extra. You could be a good person without religion. You guys ever heard that before? Okay. You can be a good person, you don't need religion. The problem is that religion is losing its relevance. It's not affecting people. The question that needs to be answered when we're teaching people about Islam is how does Islam make life better? Because a lot of Muslims and people who hear about Islam as people who are not Muslims feel that Islam does not make their life better. It's a burden, right? So you ask a typical 18-year-old Muslim kid from Birmingham, because that's where I'm staying, no offense, I'm not trying to call you out. Hey man, why do you like being Muslim? He's like, why do I hate being Muslim? He's like, no, why do you like being Muslim? He's like, I don't, right? And again, it's kind of awkward, but we have to be honest with ourselves. If we're not honest, we can't fix the community's problems. You ask a typical Muslim person, like, why do you like being Muslim? And it always ends up becoming an issue of struggle. Like, I'm struggling, it's a burden, it feels, I have to stop and pray, I have to wear this, or I have to, like, my jawline is so beautiful that all the women will be all over me, but I have to cover it up with his hair, right? Religion has to be something that improves someone's quality of life. And so when we are discussing the perfect religion, the correct religion, proof after proof after proof, evidence after evidence is good. It helps. You need it. But really, what's going to really affect someone is when you show them, I am Muslim because it makes me X, Y, Z, and that makes my life better. I'm Muslim because it teaches me self-discipline. I'm Muslim because it teaches me modesty, because it teaches me generosity, patience with my parents and the elders. I'm Muslim because this is how it's affected me in a positive way. That's what's good. When you try to convince someone what major to choose or what to study or what job to take, you don't tell them all the statistics. You tell them what it's done for you. Listen, I want to become a physician because alhamdulillah, I was able to find a job right away, or I want to become a teacher because I enjoy the feeling you get when someone learns something new. There's always the why, what it's done, not just the what. We need to move past the what, which is Islam and the dalil and the sources, and move past to why being Muslim is important. Okay? So with that, I want to conclude, and keep this in mind. Dr. Sherman Jackson, who's a very famous scholar and philosopher from the United States, he said that religion without relevance is a cult. You know those cults that you guys hear about? You know, like drink the punch and all these things? That's religion without relevance, because it's a bunch of rituals and a bunch of practices, but it has no relevance into bettering someone's life. And so if we take a look at our own community and our own religion and we find no relevance to the society that we live in and how to improve quality of life, it's more cultish than it is faith-based. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq, to give us taysir and afiyah, and we strive to live Islam correctly and also to portray it correctly. Right now we're going to open up to Q&A, inshallah, questions and answers. If anyone has any or suggestions or corrections, if I do make mistakes.